Waterfall, the CCW podcast.
Hello and welcome to Waterfall. It's the water saving podcast brought to you by CCW. That's the Consumer Council for Water. Waterfall is all about saving water, saving money, protecting the environment and combating climate change. I'm Mike and I'm here with the wonderful co-host Karen. Hello Karen, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, really looking forward to this episode. And of course, as always, producer Tom's here. Hiya Tom.
Hi Karen, hi Mike. Great to be here as always.
So we've got a fabulous episode lined up. It's part of our Around the World series, and this time we are going to California. It's the west coast of the United States, and we'll be finding out how one man has made it his mission to reduce his water use. And it's really fascinating just to hear what he's been doing. So stay listening, and we'll be joined by our guest Chris Worrall very, very shortly. And basically, we had Karen and Tom lurking outside of Waterfall Towers. And when a Californian who was just on holiday in Birmingham walked past, they manhandled him and smuggled him into the studio and made him talk about his water use. So, stay listening just for that bizarreness. Do you think that's a fair representation, Karen, of today's episode?
Not quite like that as I remember, but we'll go with it.
Okay, well, let's roll with that. No, but we do have a real life Californian who just so happened to be in Birmingham here. So really looking forward to that. But before we get stuck into that, I have to bring this up. It's the shower or not to shower can of worms that I like talking about, because I noticed there was an article in the paper featuring Jonathan Ross and his wife, Jane Goldman, who they were saying they can go days at a time without a shower. And in fact, Jonathan Ross, who is if you've got American listeners to this, Jonathan Ross is a well-known chat show host in Britain. He said he resents the fact that he has to have a shower and sometimes goes a week without showering. And in his words, he embraces full goblin mode. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think it just means being a bit grotty. So yeah, I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, you guys know where I stand, right? I mean, currently I've not had a shower for 2 days right now. Admittedly, there is no one else here, and I am working from home.
I can only try to describe the look of horror on Tom's face as you were saying that.
Really? I didn't even notice that, Tom.
I just think that's really disgusting, to be honest with you. I mean, we encourage people to save water, which we do on every episode, and some people can take it to the extreme. And I don't think Wassy is even thinking of that when he's not taking his showers, but it's you can always go too far with it. I think at least shower once a day, please, if you can.
See, I do not agree with this at all. If you're sitting around doing nothing, what's unhygienic about this? I just don't get it. I just don't get what's unhygienic. If you've been sitting doing pretty much nothing, I get it if you've gone for a run or you're cycling or in Karen's case, you've done some heavyweight mulching and you've broken a bit of a sweat. Like, I absolutely get it, right? But if you just do nothing. So here's a question, Karen. What's the longest you've been? How many days would you go without having a shower?
This is like a confessional. I think a day and a half.
A day and a half. So Tom, how many minutes have you been without having a shower?
I think the most I've gone without a shower is when I've been to a music festival. So maybe about 3 or 4 days. But I mean, do you not feel you need that reset at the start of a day, like with a shower? That's what I feel a shower gives me,
To be fair, Tom, if you've been to a music festival, usually after that, you have to reset your entire life, burn all your clothes, and then reevaluate yourself as a human being. I think that's probably a different question. So interesting, though, Jonathan Ross isn't alone at this. Now, going over the ocean, as we are today on this podcast, if you go over to America, the Hollywood actors Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, they have also confessed to going on full-on goblin mode, and they don't feel the need to shower every day. So, to be fair, I think you'll find I'm in good company.
Should we just leave that hanging?
Well, we can do.
You can all hang out together in the same smelly room. Like, me and Karen don't want to be there with you guys. So.
Yeah, I just think you maybe need to reevaluate your life choices on this one, Tom. Right. We still haven't got to the bottom of your water use, but let's save that for another episode.
Yes.
Right. So we have been talking about a couple of Hollywood stars. Hollywood is in California, and that is where we are heading on today's episode. But before we dive into the interview, just remind you can get in touch with the show. Tell us how many showers you have in a week. We would love to know. You can email us.
You can indeed on podcast@ccwater.org.uk.
Very good. Right, I think you've had enough silliness. Let's just dive straight into this interview. Let's bring on the guest.
The human body is roughly 60% water. This podcast is 100.
We're very pleased to welcome Chris Worrall to the Waterfall. Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
Good morning. Doing great. Thank you. Honoured to be here. Truly.
Very good. Well, look, you're here from America. You're here from San Jose. So tell us a bit about San Jose, just to help orientate our listeners, in case they don't know the way, for example.
Oh, good one. So San Jose is actually the capital of Silicon Valley. I don't know if you know the Bay Area around San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland is 9 counties. The biggest one is Santa Clara County, just over 2 million people. San Jose is the heart of that, with about 1 million population. The whole population is about 7.5 million around the Bay Area. Central California, north of that funny place called Los Angeles down south. People who didn't realize it's the home of Apple, Facebook, eBay, etc., etc. It really is Silicon Valley. Mediterranean climate that is changing, which obviously impacts water availability and water usage and everything else. And one of the little facts, of course, it sits right on top of the San Andreas Fault and the Hayward Fault, which was why back in October 89, we had the 6.9 earthquake that rattled everybody, including myself. So beautiful place to live, though. Really lovely.
So you're judging by your accent, you're not originally an American. I think you've got a mid-Atlantic accent, I think is the exact place.
Actually, I'm from Harborne, Birmingham, but my dear mother never let me speak like a Brummie, so I had to lose the accent.
So you're back. You're not doing this remotely. You're here. You're back in Waterfall Towers, HQ of all podcasts.
WHQ, yeah.
But what took you out to America in the first place?
The company. I was working for the firm, it was National Advanced Systems at the time, out in Isleworth. My boss was taken over, dragged over to California to run all the corporation's international business, and he dragged me over there. And that was in the beginning of 87, January the 1st, 87 actually. And I stayed on, and the company became Hitachi. And I did 37 years with the firm before I retired, nearly 10 years ago.
Wow. Who would choose Southern California?
I know.
Birmingham. I mean, what were you thinking?
Miserable place to have to live, I know. But, someone's got to do it. So
so that you've been taking steps, and this is why we were keen to have you on the podcast. So you've been taking steps to reduce water in your life, in your home. So tell us a bit about that journey. What did you do? How long did it take? How successful was it?
Yeah, well, obviously it was part of the whole plan to cut costs of everything. My wife Kim and I were looking at this a long time ago. So the first major project was lawns, because you realize out in California, if you've got green lawns, and a heck of a lot of people do, they love them, the sprinkler systems use a vast amount of water, particularly during the summer months when basically we can have heat waves where, oh heavens, I'm still in Fahrenheit. We're constantly at 100 degrees, frequently at 100. I can't remember the conversion.
Just over 40.
Yeah.
So it's over 40 degrees centigrade.
Okay, so we were looking at what to do with the lawns because we're on a corner house and inside of a corner. And we got a big median strip around that was all lawn. And then a large front lawn. We didn't want to get rid of the back one because we got a dog and he needed a lawn. And at the time, San Jose Water Company very cleverly put a program in place that motivated people to take out lawns. And if you took out a lawn, they would pay you an amount per square foot to take it out, replace it with drought-resistant plants and a drip system. So we said, great. So we did. And we yanked out all of those front lawns, put some beautiful plants in, and I can tell you they're really nice because at least 3-4 times a day we see people on a walk stopping to take photographs of our native plants and the drought-resistant plants that now over 7 or 8 years have really grown. And the drip system keeps them vibrant and it's beautiful. And we actually end up making money because the amount of money San Jose Water paid us to do that was more than the total cost in here. So that was step one.
And did you buy special drought-resistant plants?
Yeah, they actually came. They sent us a list of the approved plants that San Jose would cover the costs as part of their reimbursement plan, which was very good. So you go around and we pick what we wanted. It's beautiful. We got some really nice desert-oriented plants because Silicon Valley itself is close to a desert region. People don't realise because it's so green, so lush, so many trees and stuff. But we got a lot of trees, but mostly they look after themselves.
No,
So that, sorry.
I was going to say, it's really interesting to hear how a company can incentivise their customers to think about things differently. And to, facilitate with some practical assistance a different way of thinking about things.
And there was a lot of people in San Jose took them up on it. So much so they had a fund. I can't remember how much the fund was in total, but they ran out of money, and they had to reauthorize within San Jose Water to do more because it was so effective. The water usage from that was a huge drop, but I can give you some numbers a bit later. So that was step one. Step two, we had a swimming pool. Personally, hardly ever used it. It wasn't heated. I would go into all that one. But the grandkids loved it when they came home, stayed with us. But I realised I had an automatic filler on this thing. And every day I go out and I watch this automatic filler working, and the water would run for 30 or 40 minutes, even in the winter. And I'm thinking, that's ridiculous. There isn't that much evaporation. So eventually, 2.5, 3 years ago, I had a company come out to do leak detection. And they found there were 3 large cracks in the swimming pool. And they said, well, we can fix it. But the trouble was as well for us, we had an in-floor cleaning system that was about a mile of piping underneath the swimming pool. So I'm thinking, if there's those 3 cracks in the pool, the pipes are probably cracked. So you fix the pool, you don't fix the problem. So after much debate, my dear wife Kim finally agreeing, she wasn't that happy, we had the pool demolished and filled in place and covered it up with some beautiful golf iron and lovely looking area. Massive reduction. That thing was taking a humongous amount of water every day. So the water went down dramatically. And by the way, that's what took me from $1,000 a year of the electric bill to 0. Because the electric usage for that swimming pool alone, the water pump, was huge. So that was step 2. Massive reduction, which was great. Generally, as a family, we're focused. There's only 2 of us in the house now. Kim's mum had lived with us for 9 years or so, and she passed away. So it's only the 2 of us in a very large house. So we've also tried to cut back on the usage of water, cut back on the number of times we do washing and dishwashing and so on. Reduce the time in the shower. I get shouted
All
at,
tips that we've been putting out there.
All the stuff you'd expect to do. Classic. But then the last thing, Kim had this fixation with, a year ago we bought 2 large dustbins to rain barrel.
So water bots is what we would call them.
Okay, well that wasn't really good enough. So this year I bought 4 rain barrels, which I've plumbed into the 4 main downspouts from the roof. So we've got 230 gallons worth of water storage now that we can keep pretty indefinitely. It really doesn't, we don't get the mosquitoes, there's good filters and everything else on it. The funniest thing was that the first storm, I put them all in over the course of a week. The first storm, they were full. We got big roofs, so we just filled up. But that's there as well. And again, that's just going to help us. That's 260 gallons, maybe twice a year, that we're not going to use.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a really great idea because, the plants themselves prefer rainwater to tap water anyway.
Yeah. And by the way, that's 1,050 litres. I did do that conversion.
Good, well done. You get some sort of prize there. Excellent.
So those are the sort of things we've been doing. But it's had a pretty big effect.
And you've dangled a carrot in front of us in the context of a spreadsheet. Which you've been keeping. So I understand you've been documenting your water use and your water bill for a number of years. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yep, since December 2012 right up till today, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm a little bit that way. At work, I always was a spreadsheet king, and I just loved Excel. So I've got a lot of data going back, every water bill, all the usage, all the costs for the last 12 years, since December 2011. So do you want me to give you a few? Let me give you
Yes,
a few-
please. Yeah.
Key facts. So peak usage was back in October 2013, where over 1 2-month period we were using 873 gallons a day. That's 3,300 litres.
How many people were in the house at that point?
3.
3 people. What? So that's 1,000 litres a
1,100
day.
litres.
Wow, that is
per
incredible.
person per day. That's a lot, isn't it? And the water cost for that worked out at 37 cents per 100 gallons, which is net 53 gross. Net is the actual cost of the water, what they charge for the water. The gross cost is what they charge. So that's, I figured 8p per 100 litres net and 11p per 100 litres gross is what we were paying then. So 2012, that year, the total water consumption for the house was 182,000 gallons, or 690,000 litres for 3. But is that a lot? And the looks on your faces. That's quite a lot. So that equated to about 1,900 litres per day for the house. That's a lot. Yeah. Anyway, so that's why we were cutting back.
We do keep a league table of this, and it's fair to say you're in the relegation zone.
Okay.
And of League Two.
We go
it's
out
pretty
to the
bad.
Football League altogether. We're doing a Wrexham.
Yeah.
Oh, heavens above. All right, and I do watch that. But so give you a comparison. So 2023 total consumption was 64,000 gallons, or 244,000 litres, which I figured is about a 65% reduction. So we were now averaging over that year 666 litres per day. That's a bad number, isn't it?
Well, it is from a UK point of view, but I don't think from an
house.
American point of view that's
Probably
not
not.
bad.
But 666, that's for 2 people. So it's still
Yeah, that's
a
still
lot.
bad.
No, I get it. But again, remember, our rain season there is 2 months of a year. So the rest of the year, it's drought mostly and developing. And so even though we're on a drip system, the usage clearly to keep the garden, and we don't want to keep the plants to a degree healthy. You do use quite a lot more. However, I should tell you that in the last bill, January and February, yes, it was raining a bit. Usage was down to 318 litres a day. We only did 84 gallons a day, which I was really quite happy with. We're going to try and keep it down. So we really brought it down a lot.
Now that's getting close to the sorts of figures you get in the UK in terms of average.
But we are wetter here, aren't we? You know, come on. I know. But interestingly, if I go back and look at the costs, so the cost today has gone to, per 100 gallons, 64 cents net and 37 cents versus 37 cents in 2013. So the actual cost of water has basically doubled the charge for water. But remember, we're not on the high tiers anymore. We're just on the low tiers. If we hadn't cut back, hate to think, but the gross cost, including all the infrastructure costs, the management that they charge us, is now $3.12 per 100 gallons versus 53 cents. So it's gone up 6-fold since 2013 because they have to cover the costs. But fascinating, our monthly or bi-monthly actual bill in October 2013 was $276 for 2 months. Last October 2023 was $256 for 2 months. So we came down $20 in actual money.
Normally
is
yeah.
a bigger reduction. But it would be thousands if we hadn't. We would be paying thousands of dollars over 2 months for water if we hadn't cut.
Enjoying the show? Please consider leaving a 5-star rating on iTunes and Spotify.
I'm interested. Do you think it helps the fact that you get your bills on every other month?
Versus every month?
Well, over here, if you're on a meter, you get 2 bills a year in effect. And And if you're on a rateable value based charge, so a fixed charge, you get your annual bill, and then you either set up a direct debit and pay for it monthly, or that's pretty much the only financial engagement you get with your services.
I think if I got a bill that infrequently, I wouldn't have focused as much. But seeing how big the bill was and seeing how big it was growing, because it was really growing back in the early years, really said to me, this is stupid. We're just paying far too much for water. What do we do to cut back? I think if I was only getting 1 or 2 a year, until it had reached astronomical levels, because remember, I'm talking probably $10,000 or more a year by now that we would probably be paying for water if we hadn't cut back. That would have got my attention, but in some ways it'd almost be too late.
Yeah, the slow creep up there. It's like when you get your car insurance renewal and they've whacked 50 quid on, but you can't quite remember what it was last year. So you kind of go, I'll just accept it. But before you know it, you end up paying way more. So no, that's an interesting point about the visibility.
No, and I think every month would be over the top because you probably wouldn't look at it as much. But every 2 months you start realising the fluctuation in the bi-monthly bill and what it really comes to. Yeah. I've got graphs I can show you later. It's fascinating to see.
Oh, we're going to be here all afternoon looking at these graphs. And so in terms of the things you've set out there then, they all seem relatively kind of straightforward.
Right.
If you're listening from a Britain point of view, there's probably a lot of people listening now going, well, I don't have a swimming pool. Thanks for that advice. But what would you say was the kind of biggest thing you did out of all those measures you've taken?
Obviously, the biggest in terms of water with the swimming pool, strictly. But ignore that. It was getting out the lawns, taking out the lawns. It is stupid in this, to my personal opinion, in this modern era that we worry about green lawns. It doesn't matter. Our gardens now around the front of the house and look really beautiful. As I said, people are constantly stopping to take photographs, and they're incredibly cheap to maintain. The plants pretty well look after themselves. They'll be pruning, and that's it. And I think it looks even better. We even have a wildlife sign where it's a registered wildlife area, because there's a place you can go to America and register if you satisfy all the requirements of bird feeders, the right plants and everything else. So it's a wildlife zone for the birds love it. And it's great. It just looks good, but it's also making a difference. And I think if you were doing something like that over here, it could be a huge, huge difference. If you multiply what we've done by maybe 100,000, the impact is massive, especially in water use.
We had a whole episode about a guy in Cardiff who has made his garden into a sponge garden. So he doesn't have to water it, but also when there's heavy rainfall, it absorbs it all, stores it all, releases it all. Now, he's done this just because he cares. There's no incentives from the water company to do this. So it's quite interesting what you were saying.
The incentives, because they really wanted us to cut back and they really wanted to make a difference. So they put the money out there. And it's one-time expense to make you make the change. But the long-term benefit for the water company and the community is huge.
No, absolutely. So what's your water use right now? What's your most current one?
Well, as I said, we're running at about this last month. What did I say? Hang on. January, February was down to 318 litres per day for the household.
So that's the two of you, 380.
That's for two of us.
So what's that, 190?
Remember, everything in America is bigger.
So I didn't think you said 380. Was it 380 you said? Sorry.
318.
318 is 159 per person. So the average in the UK is 145.
Okay. So we're not that far.
So yeah, that's not far off it at all. No, very good.
So if you were going to give people some advice based on your knowledge of the UK,
right.
Where would you see the quick wins?
Again, I come back to what we did with the garden. You can concentrate on taking a half length of time in the shower. That can make a difference. But I'm assuming over here you've got the same low flow requirements that we have in California. I can't remember what the low flow actually is, but there's special valves you have to put
no, we don't
in
have
every
any,
shower and every tap. No. You don't?
So tell us more about that. We're interested.
I didn't look up. there's a legal requirement that every shower and every tap must have low flow regulators.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which does mean that some of the showers they're not quite like the old style English ones that used to just drip, but they aren't exactly high power, knock you dead showers. But that does make a big difference. That cuts back on the water consumption as well. Washing machine, dishwasher usage, cutting back on that as much as you can.
And are there any restrictions on when you're buying products on?
No. They have to be high efficiency in the washing machine area these days, but I'm not sure that really makes that much difference in the water consumption. We'll tend to use quick wash on the washing machine more often now than we did before. My wife is very focused on doing all these sort of things. But other than that, no, we've done things like we've swapped out the hot water heater for a hybrid electric, got rid of the gas one. I don't think that really affects the water usage. That's incredibly efficient. Cost of that's gone down massively. No, because there aren't that many things we use water for. I'm surprised actually.
Well, there must be because you're running it.
I know.
359.
Maybe we've got a leak. No, we haven't got a leak. I know that. We'll check that.
So the biggest motivator in this case appears to be the financial, right? The fact that the costs were driving it.
Yeah.
And do you think that's the same for most people who are in the same situation as yourself in California? Is it the price, or is it the kind of environmental issues? What's the thinking of the people on this?
Oh, okay. I might get a bit politically incorrect here, so forgive me. First of all, climate change, as far as I'm concerned, is real.
Woo!
You might be astonished. Maybe it's true over here, but it's astonishing how many people actually pretend it isn't.
New study in the paper today was 15% of Americans don't accept climate change.
Oh, it's much bigger than that.
Well, I'm just quoting a new study out today. I'm just reading what it says in the paper.
Probably a right-wing study.
Well, it was reported in The Guardian, so I think...
Well, okay, let's move on from that. Droughts and floods are just becoming constant and worse. We've just gone through a massive drought, and yet a year ago, my wife and I were down with some friends in Death Valley, and we had to run away 2 days early because a massive snowstorm came in. Unheard of in Death Valley, but it closed Death Valley for 2 weeks. We'd have got stuck in there if we hadn't got out quickly. The extremes are becoming more and more extreme. The storms we've just had, we had 90-mile-an-hour winds a week and a half ago in Silicon Valley. Trees down all over the place. And there was one like it a year ago that pretty well not that common, but more and more common. So it's only going to get worse. And honestly, the things we're trying to do regarding climate change, it's not going to stop it. And I don't see the governments really taking it full on. So hopefully we can slow the progress. But if the North Atlantic currents stop, which is the latest report I've seen, that could be happening, they don't know when. But the desalination of the North Atlantic could stop the currents, and that climate change impact would be huge. Could be almost overnight. So people have to be prepared for this, and I don't think they are. But honestly, the other problem we have in Silicon Valley is there's almost too much money. It's an extremely wealthy environment. You've got Apple headquarters there. There is a lot of cash flowing around. And a lot of these people that have these massive lawns don't care if their water bill's in the thousands a month because they just pay it. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't help cut back the actual usage and help solve the problem.
So is there an unseen problem then of people who are on, say, low incomes faced with very high water bills? And what happens to if you're in that situation?
They get stuck. They might get some financial assistance from the county and or from the state. But generally, low income in Silicon Valley is a lot of money. If you're going to live in Silicon Valley at all, and a lot of people are homeless or live in RVs because they work there, $100,000 a year income, which is what, £70,000 a year, is low income in Silicon Valley. The costs are ridiculous. Mean house price, I think, is about $2 million. In the whole of Silicon Valley. It's pretty close to 2 million now in Silicon Valley. And there's a lot of much higher house prices. But, this is where, yes, low-income families are going to get stuck because they have fewer ways of cutting back on consumption. but their costs are going up through the
And
ceiling.
can households be cut off?
Yeah.
Right? Because that can't happen in the UK.
Yeah.
If you don't pay your bill, you can't get cut off.
I believe you can. I believe you can have any of your utilities cut if you're not paying your bills, which obviously is horrific. I could be wrong on that, but I do believe it's true.
Wow. Karen, any last questions? We're running out of time.
Well, no, I mean, I just think it's been really interesting to hear about, somebody else's journey on water saving, because, we've had, in fact, another listener of ours who's based in America.
The legend is Tony V.
Indeed. And, for a lot of the same reasons, he's also been on a journey to sort of try to see what it's possible to do.
Yeah.
So I think it just shows you that a lot can be achieved. Obviously, some things are more significant than others in terms of the initial outlay that you have to make, but even the little steps that you can potentially do, like you were saying, shorter showers and using the dishwasher and the washing machine less often, all helps.
Yeah.
And now, would you say anything you've done there is a big sacrifice?
No, to be honest, no.
No, it's good. That's one of the messages we've been trying to get out as well, that actually you can make these steps, make these changes, and actually it doesn't really impinge on your lifestyle. Although your Olympic swimming career is now
I never. I told you I hardly ever went in the thing, so I wasn't that disappointed personally. And the garden is much nicer, I personally, but I think Kim does as well, much nicer since we had it taken out. And by the way, we didn't plant grass, we didn't plant plants, we laid down golf vines in the whole area. We've got a nice fountain in the middle of it with plants in, not even water. So, yeah.
Excellent. Look, it's been fascinating stuff. Thank you for coming on and telling us all about the things you've done. It is fascinating that you've reduced your water use significantly and paying marginally less than you did before. Yep. And I think there's a lot of lessons there that we must pay attention to here in the UK. So thank you very much for coming on.
It's been a great pleasure and honour to join you. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
What would you like Waterfall to cover next? Send your water-saving topics to podcast@ccwater.org.uk.
So there we have it. That was Chris Worrall telling us all about the things he's done to save water in sunny California. Karen, some tips there? I felt there was a little bit of bonding there over gardening.
Well, I mean, I think it was really good that the local water company had been helping people with gardens to identify the right plants to use and, the ones that were more drought tolerant. But I think the takeaway for me was really the fact that although Chris had started off obviously seeing this as an opportunity to save money, by the end of the process, he was really seeing the benefits because he'd now got this really lovely garden that he was clearly very proud of.
Yeah, he was. And that's a really good point you raised about incentives. That he was quite clear. There was an incentive, quite generous, offered by the water company to do things to your garden. Chris did tell us after the interview that he forgot to mention that his irrigation system is linked over the internet to the weather forecast, so it only irrigates when it really needs to, which I think is a very clever system that they've got. What struck me was that actually the changes he made didn't impinge on his lifestyle at all, one little bit. And that's something that we've obviously been saying quite a lot on Waterfall. And also you got the impression that he really was into his little water projects, his special projects, and actually that's a really good thing. So not only was he saving water, but I suspect he was having quite a bit of fun along the way. So yeah, really good stuff there. Great to hear practical steps that someone's taken in a very dry part of the world. So, I wonder where next we're going to go around the world. Have we got anyone lined up? I'm not sure for our future episodes.
We've got some exciting journeys across the globe, Mike, but our listeners will have to stay tuned.
We've certainly got something lined up to tie in with the Olympics in Paris, don't we, Tom?
Indeed. We are speaking to Dan Angelescu, CEO of Fluidian, who is part of a company who is helping to maintain the quality of the Seine ahead of the public bathing and the Paris Olympics. So, that episode will be out in a few months, maybe.
Yeah, we'll tie that up with the Olympics. That's going to be good. It's going to be a really good one. Look, really great to speak to Chris today. Learned loads of stuff. But again, we're absolutely out of time. So it's goodbye from me, Mike.
Goodbye from me, Karen.
And goodbye from me, producer Tom. Please shower once a day, once or twice a week, at least.
I think this is taking a terrible turn, Tom, because we're a water saving podcast and you're encouraging people to use more water than is needed. So, again, let's go back to this evaluating life choices. Now, don't forget to subscribe and check out our amazing back catalogue as well. Always forgot to say that. And don't forget, you can email us.
Or you can indeed on podcast@ccwater.org.uk.
You know, how many episodes have we done, right? What is this, 69, 68?
Yeah, 68, yeah.
This is our most shambolic outro of all of them. But Tom, I don't think we should do this again. We should keep this one in.
Okay, yeah, no, this is fine.
Right, it's goodbye.
See you guys.